Okay, here we are again for another exciting episode of the Danny and Troy Show. And we have planned for this one to be another reading from Danny in his creative writing example and process and reality of what we're looking to do in terms of offering business context, creative writing, assistance and advice for whatever that benefits bring, which already we're seeing a level of, well, for me as well, as exciting and enjoying and fun aspect to really what can be in some sense a little dry when you're talking about business planning and business strategy. So this is what we're looking to, I guess, witch around and come up with not only an innovative offering, but something that's a little unique and out of the box. So I'm looking forward to the next reading from Danny.
The next reading. I think in some ways,
I'm
going to feign a pirate, right? A swashbuckler, if you will. And instead of a knife in my mouth, how about that?
Yeah.
A
great.
pen. Huh?
That's it. The modern
So
day pirate.
we've got a new image.
Yeah.
Right. As we swim up to the next ship, right, and board silently.
Exactly.
Okay. The next version of my objective reality. We ended our previous session with the talk of money, right? What is our objective? To control all the money in the world. So I thought, and I'm not reading yet, but I'll do that from my smartphone, that we should address the issue of money. And for that, I'll be referencing a book in the opening lines. And without further ado, here we go.
Great.
According to my friend, Quinn DuPont, in his book on cryptocurrencies and blockchains, the generic theory of money defines 3 qualifications that must be met for something to be defined as money. They are: 1, a medium of exchange; 2, a unit of account; or 3, a store of value. Sometimes a 4th property is added, which is means of unilateral payment. So now it's clear. I will need a processor, my new friend Troy. I'll ideate and he will facilitate. Together, we will control all of the money in the world. Simple enough. We will end exploitation. Money is a symbol of greed. How so, you ask? I tell you. Barter began this mess. The bounty of nature for the bounty of nature. All wealth comes from nature. When we have an unfair exchange, we create a deficit, which is symbolized by money. A note or certificate representing a credit to be paid to anyone who holds it. That deficit requires something symbolic to represent that deficit, with which we can pass along to another a debt that we can use as a credit. We rob Peter to pay Paul, as my father used to say. With an understanding of a few basic items, Drukpa, our hero, proceeded to work. He did not need to know how it worked so much to solve it from within. The whole system was corrupt and could not be fixed. It needed to be replaced. Economy would be relegated to the dustbins of history and thrown out with yesterday's news. The baby and the bathwater in one fell swoop. This proposal would be painful, no doubt. The worst of it was that Others would feel crushing blows as they tried desperately to cling on to the old ways, what they knew, what they had come to rely upon. Already the American airways were clotted with pleas from Indians for money to pay for this and that. They had learned who was pulling strings, and they went for the throat. YouTube was jammed with pictures of the crippled and destitute, but really, who cared? Poor America was already like a rotten fruit that was covered with wasps, gnats, and flies, all vying for a mouthful more than they could swallow. Immigrants flooded over the southern border, past the sleeping guards, drunk from Washington's excesses. Their bullets were made from ice cream and long ago melted and was dripping down their uniforms, sucked up by the sands of Mexico. The whole double continent was shaped like a funnel for a reason, and the bottleneck was stuffed with hair. Drukpa shrugged his shoulders. Nothing to be done, trickled off his tongue. Pity and compassion of Buddhist thought wasn't going to do anything more than it did keeping the infirmed alive. Poor, restless eaters. Nothing to be done, certainly. And what? In his backyard, the cats had given birth to 13 kittens. They were not on the way to St. Ives. It took everyone to keep them alive. 2 large cans of dog food, dry food, and the environment was depleted and mouths were still opened, filled with pleas for help. They were cute, no doubt about it, and loving and lovely. And what? There were owls in the trees, birds of prey that would decide their fate. Woe is me, sighed Drukpa. What is to be done? Another Russian expression eked out. What is to be done? Not my problem. I didn't do this. I'm here to rescue the few remaining good. Give me a quorum, 10 people, 10 good people, or the city will fall to the wrath of heaven. Everything will be destroyed. Good riddance. What? Another flood to quench the fires of Armageddon? Who cares? Drukpa leaned against a Bodhi tree and fell asleep. On his way there, he was heard to mumble. It was a fig tree that covered the genitalia of Adam and Eve, the first 2 monkey humans. Shamed they were, but not I. Ficus religiosa, he mumbled as he dropped a cigarette between his lips and turned to look up into the branches above him, searching for the one that would show him the way. Enlighten me. Troy saw Drukpa asleep under the tree and went to awaken him. He sat next to the sleeping madman, silently examining his face. You have awakened me, Drukpa uttered. Thus spake Zarathustra. You have awakened yourself, replied Troy. What time is it? Inquired Drukpa. Now, replied Troy. Drukpa gave him a side glance. Now what? I thought you were dead. I was, but I have come back to you. Yes, they say that if you want to know what death is like, compare it to sleep. Mark Twain said, I do not fear death. I had been dead for billions and billions of years before I was born and had not suffered the slightest inconvenience from it. This was just a dirt nap.
Great.
And the 2 began to speak.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
we're at the point now where, as the 2 began to speak, they're communicating, rather subtle manner of, the way things actually could easily have happened
Sure.
or did happen.
That's
And I
it.
remember at the Queen's Resort, there was one of the biggest trees riverside that I had ever seen.
Right.
So I put two and two together
Mm-hmm.
and came up with what you just heard.
Yeah.
Comments are
think-
more than welcome at this point in time.
Building up so well, I think. I mean, it just keeps, like I said this last time, my desire to hear the next part alive. And, you know, I just see it in this amazing story, actually a book that I think, you know, has been, I guess, just tapping at the window for a long time. For
It's just a branch, Troy. Just a branch.
It was just the wind and the tree tapping at the window. But yeah, I think it's really deep and artistic and meaningful. And, you know, I love that connection that's seeping in with, you know, what business is about and what's important in terms of finding direction and understanding, and from a place that is comfortable and not a place that, you know, where everything is in an almost desperate sense of needing to take whatever comes. But again, I'd love to read it. I mean, you did send it to me, but hearing it and it just flows. I'm not sure now whether it's the benefits of having it in front of me outweigh the benefits of my creative mind hearing it read as it was, you know, coming out of your voice. But there's so much in there. I know that I'd love to go back and just say, well, this is the, I guess, major point or defining words that, and this is what I do with everything actually, is just pick it out and say, okay, this is what it's really about, and analyze that in terms of my own interpretation and reflection. So I love how it's developing, and I'm just looking forward to, if I contribute more around this book that I think is just going to emerge very quickly.
I would say that your enthusiasm, your response, your contribution, all is very helpful for the performer, the writer, you know, the storyteller, because it's really almost impossible to tell a story when no one's listening.
Right.
But if you've got somebody in the front row like you, Troy, right, then it's just it's encouraging. It's like cheerleading, you know. It's like, go, Danny, go, and relating to, you know, how it hits you, and then of course what you say and how I hear it doubles the value, because there is a value in hearing it, right? And then there's another value in reading it.
That's right.
So we have two different processes going on at the same time.
Exactly.
And I've cheated you out of the pictures that go along with it.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, I think you've seen one, right, of Popeye.
Yeah.
Who in some sense could be the guy telling the story, right?
Sure.
And I don't mean the movie version of Popeye, which I think was tried by one famous, now past actor, Robin Williams. I ran across it the other day and was looking at it, and the production was terrible. It did not do justice to Robin Williams' madness.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
He's just, when he played, you know, the man on the moon in what was that? And the guy who was the adventures of the guy who was escaping in a balloon. Words right on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah.
Well, it's a story What's the name of that guy? Do you know who I'm talking about?
So I'm just bringing it up here.
It was.
King of the
It
Moon,
was. Yeah,
Baron
no, it was.
Munchausen.
Sorry.
Baron Munchausen.
That's it. Baron von Munchausen.
Yeah,
And it was just if he had done Popeye that way.
right.
And the one thing that really caught me about his performance that I felt was he was cheated of or cheated out of was Popeye's continuous mumbling to himself. You know, oh, it's family, get out there and get them, yeah. That kind of stuff was going. It was just so underplayed that it
Right.
really just robbed the whole character of,
Mhm.
you know, the comments that nobody's going to listen to anyway, right? But it doesn't stop him from talking about it. You know, the whole way. Yeah. Hello, how are you? That kind of a dialogue, and it was just, it was underplayed. I thought. And I'm seeing this Popeye as more or less the picture that I sent you, rather exaggerated, but a real guy who's got a tattoo that says "I am what I am,"
Exactly.
you know, across
Yeah.
the bib of his chest. And on the one hand, had on the left hand on the wheel, right, the pilot's wheel, it said "fast," F-A-S-T, and it was just such a brilliant rendition of Popeye with his big cheeks, you know, popped out like that, and a corncob pipe. It just made the whole thing. And this is the guy, and I don't know whether or not it's essential, but for this piece and this creator, it is just like laying bricks.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
you mix the mortar, you got the bricks there. Me, I dunk my bricks in water before I, you know, put the mortar on and place the brick. But each story has its own architecture and its own architect, which I would say, from my experience in doing this, of course, is just following every little sound, right? To fill in this story, because even now with the fan running, right, and the sounds in the room, they make up the whole body and essence of a story, right? Even the beer glasses clinking in the background, you know, it just brings to mind all of the intricacies of a really well-made film,
Right.
which of course, if you are a good enough wordsmith, you can bring them into, you know, your written composition as well to help people, even if and when you read it, right? It's not like you're going to sit on stage and there's going to be a soundtrack playing, right, while everybody's listening to you read. I've seen things like that in New York, but they never carry well with.
Right.
It's just the art, really, an art of storytelling,
Exactly.
which is there's no model that everybody has to follow. You know, if you want, okay, then you can read Homer, right?
Sure,
And
sure.
find a good translation, I might say, right? To find out what an eternal piece of literature looks like, sounds like.
Yeah.
And, you know, of course, as we all know, that translators are butchers. So
Right.
be careful, right? There we have it.
Yeah.
And next, I suppose, as the tension builds, all of these memories and items pop into my head. And how do the dynamic duo go through this?
Right.
And of course, in terms of business planning, right? It's a way of exercising the imagination. My Uncle Jim gave me, when I was a child, a piece of rubber. I think it was from Atlas, in the back of a comic book. He ordered one for me, and it had two rubber handles here. And it was, you stretched them out like that.
Right.
Charles Atlas, that's who it, and do that kind of a thing. And, you know, those kinds of images, they always work their way into something. When Guy was this creative writing class at North Carolina State, Guy's name was Guy Owens. And I think he taught the class so he could steal from his students. and they would ask us to do stuff. And he came to me one day and he said, I wrote a piece about my uncle, one of my uncles, Aunt Minnie and Uncle, I'll think of his name in a minute, used to work for the railroad. And every time he needed some money, he would have an accident, lose a digit on one his left hand, right? Collect a few bucks. And he had warts all over his hand. And I said something in my piece I read to Owens. I said, and I was afraid to shake his hand because I was afraid that the warts would come off of his hand onto mine.
Yeah.
And he called me up after class and he said, I love it. It was beautiful. Can I use it? And at the time, being what, I guess, second year undergraduate student or something like that.
Mhm.
And this guy with status and being a publisher and all, I thought, why, sure.
Mhm.
But today I would say, I don't know, what do I get?
Yeah.
What's in it for me?
Mhm. Mhm.
He said, okay, well, I'll use it anyway. What are you going to do?
Sure.
Sue me?
Mhm.
Now, here's your grade for the class.
Yeah.
It's pronounced F.
Mhm. Mhm.
You can't do that to me. Do I get to use the words? All right, all right. But it would have been something to talk about later, like I'm doing now, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Funny stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really keeping the mind elastic.
That's it.
And we're dealing with different things about when they do pop up. And I want to say this in closing, is that's part of the writing and editing part. You can always edit things out
Mhm. Mhm.
after after you finished writing, or you
Sure.
can edit them in,
Yeah. Yeah.
but go with the flow,
That's
right?
Yeah.
Even if you repeat yourself,
Sure.
just say it, get it out, and then you can doctor it later.
Exactly. Exactly.
I got a Golden Cine Award in New York City through NYU when I was performing as producer in a screenplay that a guy had written. And it was like additional dialogue.
Mhm.
I was given a script, right? And I looked at this guy, I could still see his face. And he said, just read the script. And I said, I can't say this. What do you think of this? And then I went and created the whole dialogue for my scene, right?
Right.
And he said, that's when we got the award. And I said, well, Dave, do I get credit for that? And he said, well, it's going to be a problem with Michael. And I said, all right, Michael needs it. Great. I don't mind.
Mhm.
So just giving stuff away, but it was a great exercise, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
In doing stuff.
Yeah.
Like when I gave the clown, I forgot the name of the movie. I'll think of it later. But I was giving the clown, who was the central character, a check,
Okay.
right, to pay off the people who had seen his drunken display. He was a clown for kids, and it would have ruined his whole career. And I was his producer. So it was like, okay, fine. You want the check? Here's the check. And the guy went to reach for it, and I went, kind of a
Mhm.
think about it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Don't let this happen again, right?
Mhm.
Because you're not worth more than whatever this check is written.
Right.
So it's just following those little moments of inspiration. And if you've got a good director and a good producer, they'll go,
Right.
and he said, thank you, fellas. Check's still the same size, but
Yeah.
you're forming a family. That's what all this creative exercise is about.
Mhm.
You form a family of people that you will be there.
Right.
The quality of their work.
Yeah.
That you can depend on them, right?
Yeah.
And they'll do what they say they're going to do.
Sure.
And when you have a family of people like that,
Mhm.
you do your best to keep them.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. That's great. So
Memories, Troy. Memories. See how it goes.
it's bringing up
Well,
all this. Great information, great insights, great practice, actually. I mean, the storytelling and data science, I mean, those two words have been coming together like in the shadows. You hear that coming up, but the importance of it, you just described so well there in so many different angles. One, being open to be in the flow like you're saying, like don't edit, just let it come, and share that. And because yeah, everybody can be on the same page and understanding like this is, I mean, appreciate. If you don't do that, then you can, I can quickly see, oh, this has been highly edited. Oh, this is like, lost something. But the freedom and insights and the flow that comes from knowing that this is unedited, but still there's that meaningfulness, that artistic expression in those deep, wise pieces of history that come through. That's one. And the second you've mentioned is this, just going through, like, exercising that muscle of imagination and creativity. Just in, we forget so easily about exercising that component, especially in, data science realms where you've got deadlines and milestones to meet, and managers just seeing where are the results. So those aspects of the benefits, and just the example now that we've given is just not only a great enjoying, like, such an enjoyable piece for me to read and to hear, but the whole process, when you, as I am, stepping back and just looking at what it is for, the process of how it came and what it is we're giving as an example, it just works so much on different levels. It's amazing.
And breathing life into a story is I was going to say is a very difficult task, but I think there are also tools that creative people can use.
Okay.
And principally in the whole thing about don't write and edit at the same time is, you never know really what's going to come out. Sure. And developing that ability, or that permissiveness to let things come without judgment.
Exactly.
Is extremely important, because I think we spend most of our lives wondering whether or not we should or shouldn't say something.
Right.
And I like to say to people who use the word should, I like to say to them, don't should on me. And I really mean it in its implications. It's because first of all, you're going to turn the conversation to a different direction where we're just going to disagree, right?
Yeah.
And that's the Buddha again, right? About argumentation.
Right.
I just don't see it. The best thing we can do is keep our mouths shut and listen to what the person has to say, a little bit like a courtroom, right? Objection, sustained, or objection, not sustained, sustained. What is it, sustained? Then just let them talk. And of course, the tactic in the courtroom is objection, overruled, just to break it up so that the jury can't hear the story.
Right.
Right. And that's not what we're in business for.
No.
We're in business to promote creative activity, and to see to it that it's produced in a form in which it can be presented to others, and they can appreciate the effort and the information that's being delivered.
Beautifully put. Yeah, that's great.
I mean, look at Moses. Moses was supposed to have had a stutter, right? So the Jewish writings tell us, and it's like, not me, Lord. It's like, what do you want a guy like me to do this for? Don't worry about it, Moses. We got that end covered. No buts.
Exactly.
So, you know, you never know. It's not a limitation. It's an addition.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. It's great.
Okay. Troy, you're a real treasure. Thank you very much.
It's wonderful. Yeah. Working together with such, creative and brilliance and experience from your side. I don't have to do a lot. So yeah, it's all you, man. That's what.
Oh, man, you do more than you know, than you think you do.
Okay.
Your contribution. I wouldn't be doing this without you, Troy.
Let's do it together.
And it's right. It's good to have a mentor. It's good to have somebody who says, let's do it, man. Let's put this on YouTube.
Sure.
All right. Okay. Why not? Let's
Yeah.
give it a go.
Yep.
And that's how things are built, right? One brick at
Exactly.
a time.
Exactly.
Yep. So I want you to know, and I think you know it already, how much I appreciate you and what you do.
Thanks, man.
And the whole purpose, of course, is to promote you to the public, right?
Sure.
I'm just sort of your backup because you're the madman too,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
In a good way. People can approach you. They don't know how the hell to approach me. You go talk to him. Not me, man. You go talk to him. Talk to Troy. Troy will talk to him. Okay. We'll go talk to Troy.
It could be a new title.
Good enough.
The mad scientist has always been like this fictitious, like being that comes into like interesting movies that I've seen, but the mad data scientist could be the next level.
There's a dangerous person. Can I see your phone? No. Sure. Well, I don't need to see your phone. I see. Okay. I know exactly what to do. It's like, what? What are you going to do? Okay. All right. I'm turning my phone off.
All right.
Putting it in the refrigerator. Okay, man. Well, I'll see you in 48 hours, huh?
Yep.
It's okay.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds
Thanks
good.
to our studio audience and to you.
Thank you, Danny.
All right.
Talk soon.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye, Troy.